Okay, Ariel, microphone.
I'm like, wait, did we get that? Did you get that on camera or no?
Does it sound better?
Yeah.
All right, welcome to TeaTalks, where we get raw, real, and inspired by the people around us. Joining us today is my bold and beautiful friend BreeAnn, who I won't say like how many pounds you've lost, because that's not the point. It's about emphasizing the determination, the dedication that you took, and the time that you allowed yourself to grow both mind, body, and soul through health and fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So tell us about your journey, because it's an inspiring one.
Well, I've been working out for just short of 6 years. It'll be 6 years in February. Prior to that, I was not a fitness, nothing. I mean, the most lifting I did was, that was college days, lifting beer. Let's be real honest. But anyways.
Sorry, get comfortable.
Yeah, about 6 years. I had gained some good amount of weight while I was pregnant. I mean, let's be real honest, it wasn't baby weight. It was Oreos and pizza and Dairy Queen Blizzards and all that fancy stuff.
Were you using the excuse of,
Yep.
I'm pregnant, I'm craving this?
Oh, 100%. Baby wanted it, I got it. And I got kidney stones at the end of my pregnancy, so I had to be not moving a whole lot towards the end because it put me into labor. But, so I gained a bunch of weight. And after I had my baby, I kind of did the stay-at-home mom thing, and it really kind of hit me when I got home, and a lot of people said, well, that weight's going to fall right off. That'll come right off. And I'm like, okay, and I waited a good week, and I'm like trying to pull my pants on, and I got them like up to mid-calf, and I'm like, all right, so that didn't fall off. And it kind of just lit a fire under my butt. I knew right then and there I had diabetes, I have heart disease, we have cancer in the family, we have lots of things. And I had a little baby that he needs me. And I couldn't keep doing what I was doing. I couldn't keep eating the way I was eating because I was. Even post having Cooper, I was still eating pizza, and I was still eating Dairy Queen Blizzards because they tasted good, obviously, right? Anyways, I began at-home workouts and pretty much killing myself in front of the TV doing T25 and Insanity Max 30 and all those fun things. And I think six and a half months, I had lost like 62 pounds. It was
My word.
kind of intense.
Were you just doing the workouts, or you changed everything? You started working out, you started researching food options?
Well, basically that first year, I went and when I set my mind to something, I kind of, I'm going to do it no matter what it takes, and I went to the extreme. I restricted my calorie intake. I was drinking meal replacement shakes. I think it was Shakeology at the time with Beachbody. I was a Beachbody coach, so I was also trying to do that MLM, sell the shakes and stuff, as well as doing the workouts, and I was trying to play the part of a Beachbody coach, I guess. But I restricted my food, so I went from obviously eating in a major caloric surplus to a major caloric deficit. So that is how I lost 62 some pounds in 6 months, and I wouldn't recommend that to people because it's really not a healthy pace of fat loss. Losing so much weight so fast is really not healthy, even though that's what society wants, is I want to lose 50 pounds in a couple months, and it's just not healthy. But I did it, doing Insanity Max 30 2 times a day. My son wasn't sleeping, and I would get up at 3 a.m.
Why do you say that it's not healthy? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm just curious.
Well, basically, I start with saying you didn't gain 50 pounds overnight. You can't expect to lose it overnight. Your body needs time to change. When you take your body composition from this and you want it to shrink super fast, you're not allowing your body to keep up with the change. And if you lose that weight that fast, first of all, you're probably going to have, let's start out with it. New moms, a lot of loose skin, people that are that way, loose skin. You have to learn the behavior that it takes to lose that weight. So if you go from 150 pounds down to 100 pounds in a few months, because you did work out 5 times a day. You did restrict your calories down to nothing, and you did basically kill yourself to lose that weight. You're not going to learn what it takes to A, keep it off, B, eat that way, but your insides take a hit when you go from this to this.
Did you ever have any effects from
Digestion issues. My hormones were all over the place. I mean, I had a lot of acne when I was pregnant and a little bit prior, but afterwards, just because I did go from almost 200 pounds all the way down, my acne had kind of gone all over the place. My mood swings were up and down. My energy levels, I was so fatigued. So when I talk to people about losing weight, there's a healthy approach to it and there's an unhealthy approach. And I obviously I went to it. I went at it, and 3 weeks on the nose, I started working out after I had Coop, and I did it hard and fast, and I don't recommend that at all when I talk to people. Learning the habits it takes so that you can continue to either keep the weight off, or if you have more weight to lose, keep losing weight. Learning those habits takes time. It takes repetitive behaviors. It takes trying different things. It takes making new habits and learning new habits. It takes being aware of the things you are consuming or not consuming. And if you just lose it super fast because you get on one of these crazy diets and you lose it super fast, you honestly can't retain what it takes to keep it off. So basically, a lot of people end up rebounding. They end up gaining back. They don't keep it off.
I want to eventually get to the crazy diet thing because I just love that. But I guess I'm curious, when did that transition for you happen? When did you realize I'm not losing this weight the right way?
Well, I had lost almost all of my weight, and I would look in the mirror and I was waiting for this image that I wanted to see looking back at me. I physically wanted to see it. Mentally, I wasn't able to see much. I'd look in the mirror and I'd be like, oh, I still have love handles. Oh, I still have like baggy skin. Oh, I don't have the muscles that everybody else has, and that you see on Instagram and Facebook. And I would look at myself in the mirror and I was so unhappy, and I was skin and bones. I have pictures on my social media when you look, and my biceps are like as big as my wrist. And I looked at myself and I knew I wanted more, and I thought I needed to keep losing.
That's something I think people struggle with a lot. They look in the mirror and they see something completely different of like what people actually see.
Yep.
Is there any advice on that, or how did you start to realize like?
Well, that is something that I still struggle with every day. I will be totally 100% honest. When I look in the mirror, I don't always see what everybody else sees or see how everybody else sees. But that is something that I did have to start working on about a year and a half into it. I don't remember who said it to me. I think it was my cousin, but she said, like, BreeAnn, you killed it. And you need to love yourself. So that's the other thing that I was going to mention. I began my dieting because I saw something that I physically hated. Physically, I try not to get emotional when we talk about this because I'm going to be all teary-eyed. But I physically hated what I saw when I looked in the mirror. I didn't like it. It didn't make me feel good. I didn't feel sexy. I would compare myself to other people on social media, and I'd be like, well, I wish I looked like that. Like, how come she can look like that? And she's had 3 kids. I only had 1. And no matter how much weight I lost, I still picked myself apart. So I had to start working on that. That's something that journaling, saying out loud things versus just thinking them. I have it written on my mirror. Nice butt. Like, just little things that I need to verbally say out loud about myself, because the more you say it, the more you'll believe it. When I look in the mirror, instead of going to the place that I don't like, because I still have things I don't like about my body, 6 years into it, I still do. But instead of going to those areas, I say something that I do like. I say something positive, and I kind of switch that mindset. And it's a thing that you have to work on. It's not something that just comes, and it's not something that stays either once it does come.
I just heard a quote the other day that was saying those exact things, where, we need to start giving ourselves credit for trying something that's uncomfortable or,
And loving ourselves enough. Instead of hating ourselves so much, loving yourself enough. You know what? I am 80 pounds overweight. I love myself and my body enough to make a change. And loving yourself when you're 80 pounds overweight, through the changes, you're going to see them more, you're going to feel them more, and they're going to happen more. When you hate yourself through it, you might still get changes, but you may not see them. You may not feel them because you're still seeing that image in the mirror that you hate, the things that you hate, the things that you pick apart. So that's something that when I began my journey, I hated it. I hated my body. I hated everything about me. My entire stomach is a stretch mark from carrying a baby. I had very saggy chest after having Cooper. I nursed and I got large and then I got small, and I just hated it so much. And that's what fueled me. And honestly, when you hate yourself so much and it fuels you, it kind of causes a little bit of a sickness up here. Because no matter how much weight you lose, the number on the scale is never going to satisfy you. So that's something that I learned, and it took me a couple years because I did lose a substantial amount of weight. And no matter how low I got that number on the scale, I wasn't happy with it. So when I stopped doing so much at-home cardio and I kind of ventured out into learning about resistance training and picking up the dumbbells or using those cable machines at the gym and things like that, and learning about them and kind of learning about what muscle does for us in our body, having muscle in our body. Well, not everybody wants to have a bodybuilder's physique where you can see muscle. A lot of people they say they want to be toned. And what they mean when they say that is you see your muscle through your skin because the fat layer is gone. So you see the muscle. So a lot of people say, I want to get toned. Well, really what they mean is they want to have fat loss happen so they can see their muscle. In order to have that muscle, you have to build a little bit of muscle, especially if you're going from losing a substantial amount of weight. You're probably not going to have the big, curvy, voluptuous muscles that you want to see. Resistance training really is where that happens. So once I started to venture into that, and I started to try to be more positive about my body and things like that. Once I gave myself grace, and once I kind of really, I forgave myself for not taking care of myself, for letting myself go, for all of that stuff. Once I finally kind of let me be me, I saw and felt so many changes, and I started to be more confident in the gym. I still have cellulite, and I still wear short shorts to the gym, and I have stretch marks. My stomach is a stretch mark, and it's not my favorite thing about me, but
mentally become so strong through the journey of working on your fitness too.
That when on my social media, my whole story is there, but when I say it, I really mean it. Fitness and health, it really did save me. It brought me out of a very dark place. I was not in a good relationship at the time. I was not mentally healthy in all aspects of life, but I really put my focus. I needed to find an outlet for me, and I will be completely honest, drinking sounded really good, because when you drink, you forget about things. Partying sounded really good, but I had to be a mom. I didn't have a husband that was home taking care, or a boyfriend that was home taking care of my son. I had to do it, and I needed to find a healthy outlet because I knew eating wasn't a fix. It wasn't going to work to keep the results that I had already gotten. And so once I became so laser focused on fitness, working out became my anti-anxiety, my anti-depression, which I've been on meds for that my whole life. I no longer am.
Oh, wow, okay.
I got off when I had Cooper, or before, when I got pregnant with Cooper, I got off. And I haven't been back on them. because I managed. I won't say I don't still have some bad days or low days, but I manage it. And when I became, I guess a lot of people call it obsessed, but when I became focused on something healthy, it began to blossom in other areas of my life. I was more confident. I was more determined. I started to find my backbone. I started to find my self-worth. I found that I could do anything I set my mind to. And I ended up changing my life situation. And I moved on to the next chapter in my life. And once I did that, I'm still focused on fitness, and I still do things. I still work out every single day and all of that fancy stuff. But it's so much more than that, because it really did take me out of a bad place mentally and help me grow into where I am now. So when I say fitness saved me, I really kind of mean it.
Yeah.
Because I know I could have went down a way different path had I not clung to something healthy.
Were there ever times when you fell backwards or you got stuck, and how did you?
Of course. Plateaus happen in mostly everybody's journeys, and if they don't, they're probably fibbing to you, telling you that they didn't happen, because weight loss is not a linear thing. Like, you're not going to go from here and you're not going to go. It's going to be, you're going to have highs, lows, ups, downs. But also, when you're doing strict caloric restriction, where you're doing crazy diets, it's not easy to stick to those all the time. It's not easy to not eat sugar. It's not easy to not eat the birthday cake. It's not easy to not eat the pizza, you know? You fall off because it's not sustainable. Once you've made it a habit, once you've got it into your life, it's pretty easy to jump back on, because it's something that makes you feel good. It's something that centers you. It feels, humans like routine. It's kind of a thing that most people kind of gravitate to. And once it's in your routine and then you pull it out, it's not super hard to pull it back in. It's getting to that point. And I always tell people, because I get this question a lot, is how do you stay so motivated? And I said, well, I aim to motivate other people, but I'm not always motivated. I'm determined, and I have a goal set, and I'm going to do what I need to do to hit it. But I also know that it's me time. It's taking care of the one body that I was given time. And so when I look at it like that, I think, I might not have time today for a 2-hour workout. I have to get Coop to school. I have to get him to gearing up for kindergarten. I got to do this, and this. I got to do all this stuff. And I might not have time, but you know what? The only reason I'm able to do all of these things that I do on a daily basis is because my body lets me. And that's one of the things we take for granted, because that's something we just get. We get our body. Yeah. And sometimes it's easy to say, well, I'll start next week. I'll start next Monday. This week is just too busy.
Wow.
But really, when you think about it, the only reason you're allowed to be that busy is because your body is letting you be that busy. And I know that's kind of getting a little deep, but honestly, it is the reason you're able to continue doing the jobs that you do, the things with your family, schooling, whatever it is that everybody says they're so busy with. The reason we're able to keep doing those things is because our body lets us.
Yeah. So
making an effort to make time to take care of yourself, I'm not saying you have to go to the gym 2 hours a day, 7 days a week, but making time to take care of yourself, whether that's just go for a walk or go for a bike ride or go to the gym and swim or go outside and play with your kids, whatever your activity looks like in your life. Really, you have to dig deep, and you really have to think about why you want to make a change. Not to wear a bikini next summer, not so I can wear shorts without cellulite, not because I have a wedding in a year even. Just when you think about it and you dig a little bit deeper and you really think about why one should take care of themselves. Why? Do you have a son? Do you have a husband? Do you have a wife? Do you have parents? Do you have brothers and sisters? family that needs you, like
Right.
digging deep to really find out why you want to
So
do
you can
it.
stay committed.
So you can
So
stay
you're not
committed.
just yo-yoing all the time.
And when the motivation leaves, you have to think about your why. You really have to stay loyal to your why, because motivation is going to go out the window after a week. I'll tell you that. 5 to 7 days, you're sore. You're probably like, why am I doing this? But
I feel like motivation is kind of it's like an energy in a way where it's not really practicing anything.
Yeah.
You know, you're not really implementing. Anybody can be motivated and excited.
kind of like a high. Like you're like,
Yes,
"Woo,
exactly.
yay." But after that goes away,
what's firm? What's solid?
discipline.
What's keeping you? Yeah. So, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but is it like 80% nutrition and 20% activity is kind of,
So I guess I sum it up as 100%, and I say I think you need to give effort to both. What works for you will look completely different than what works for me, because your goals, your life, your job, your family, your journey is completely different than my goals, my body, my family, my genes, my job, my everything. So yours is going to look different than mine. I might work out 7 days a week. You might work out 3. I might meal prep 7 meals a day for myself. You might meal prep 3. Neither nor is, like, I wouldn't say my diet's better than yours, my gym routine's better than yours because I do more. Mine's different because I have a different goal. So that's kind of what I've been trying to talk with people about in the last year since I've kind of started expanding and visiting with people on kind of what I've learned is it doesn't always have to be an all or nothing thing. You don't have to eat chicken and rice and vegetables and go to the gym 7 days a week in order to progress, in order to be successful, but you have to make an honest effort every day. So meal prepping one of your meals every day that you know that you can't get to, so most of the time you go out to eat. So meal prepping that meal and hitting the gym a few times a week, going and doing your workout, whether it's an at-home workout or the gym. Making small changes all add up. And everybody's level of commitment's different, everybody's goals are different, and it's all okay. But a lot of people think that if they don't commit to a full-out diet and a full-out 7 days a week workout routine, that they're going to be unsuccessful and they're not going to be able to reach their goals. And that's not true at all. I haven't dieted once in the last year. And the last year, my transformation has been crazy. My body composition has changed so much, and I haven't dieted once. And I've been trying to tell everybody this that I talk to that kind of ask me questions, and people that I coach and my clients, is just being aware of what we're doing. So that goes with our activity. That goes with, are we being super sedentary all day long, sitting, not moving, not getting any activity in? Yeah. And then it also goes with food. Now, I don't diet. If I want a donut for breakfast on Sunday, I'm having the donut. Let's be real honest. But I don't cut anything out of my diet. That's not a sustainable thing. But when I eat that donut, now that I tell everybody about the app called MyFitnessPal. It's a really easy app to figure out, just to be able to know what you're eating. So when I eat that donut, I know I'm getting 40-some grams of carbs, depending on the donut, obviously. I know I'm getting a substantial amount of fat and probably virtually no protein. So I know what I'm eating when I eat it, so I know what I need to eat the rest of my day, but I can still have the donut, and I'm not going to go backwards. A lot of people think, well, I went on this diet, and I stuck for 5 days, and then I fell off, and I undid it all, and I got to start all over.
Right. I think that happens a lot.
It does.
Is that it's like, now it's just game over, and you're moving backwards instead of accepting that this was something I did, and it's okay.
Yep.
And I'm just going to continue on with the journey, because this is a lifelong
Yep.
thing. This isn't just a quick thing.
Yep. And that's why, I know that there's a lot of diets out there, and we were going to get to that, and I won't nitpick anyone individually here. I'm not a certified nutritionist yet. That's coming. But I will say I've done a lot of studies on them or not studies. I've read a lot of studies and I've done a lot of research on them and stuff. And I do have my own opinions on a lot of them. But my one opinion...
Oh, great. We're going to talk about
it. My one opinion on diets in general are any of them are going to work as long as you're in a caloric deficit. If your goal is to lose weight and you want to be vegan, paleo, now that I'm sitting here on camera, keto, vegan.
Double on the vegan.
Did I double it? I did it because of you. Just kidding. Meal replacement shakes, bars. There's one going around. I don't even know the name of it, but I know like 3 or 4 people on it, but it's like mostly...
Is it an underground thing?
No,
I'm kidding.
It's like an MLM thing.
Oh, okay.
And that people are selling it, and it's basically like you buy everything that you eat from this company.
You buy everything you eat from
Yeah, so you can buy soups.
Okay.
You can buy bars, you can buy all that, but it's low-carb stuff. It's virtually it's trying to get as low carb as you can, basically, and they're drinking shakes.
Oh my gosh. That's one thing. Can we talk about that? How carbs are important.
Yes.
Carbs give you energy.
I need carbs, let's be real honest. But those diets, they will work as long as you're in a caloric deficit. You're going to lose weight, whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, anything. As long as your caloric intake is less than your total daily expenditure for the day, you're going to lose weight on any of those diets. So basically, when somebody comes to me and they say, BreeAnn, I really want to try Paleo Diet, which Paleo Diet is basically like what you can catch, what you can kill, it's whole foods. It's not processed, not eating things that have been processed through a processing plant.
Which is good, and everybody should do that.
Yes.
However.
100%. I think it is. I think eating as many whole foods as possible is totally good. Do I think 100% it's like sustainable? No, not really. So basically, any of those diets that people are talking about, any of the ones that people are trying to sell online, get you to sign up under your friend or whatever, they will work as long as you're in a caloric deficit. My biggest problem, and I know this ruffles feathers because MLMs are kind of important and around here. What happens when you're done with that diet? What happens if you lose the 15 pounds or 10, 15 pounds you set out to lose? What happens after you're done with that diet? Who's going to drink a shake for the rest of their life 3 times a day and only eat 1 meal? I mean, I can't say that I never did drink meal replacement shakes because I did. I did do that. I went through that phase.
Well, and it's not that it's a bad thing either.
No, I think there's a place for them.
I had one this morning.
Yep.
I had one this morning. But it's about changing the mindset and changing the concept, I guess.
And it's about learning sustainability. So what happens after that diet? You're going to go back to eating the way you were eating, drinking the way you were drinking. I don't know why I keep coughing. But what happens when you stop doing that diet? You are going to gain the weight back, most likely.
Then feel bad that you gained it back. And then it spirals from there.
Spirals all out of control.
And then it's like, okay, well, now I've gained it back. And what's the next thing that I can do to lose that weight? And then it slowly but surely, you're probably like gaining a little bit more and more.
And you're going backwards up here too. So that's my problem with any of the diets that are going around right now, is what happens when you go back to your old lifestyle.
Is there at all a possibility that maybe somebody does do that forever for the rest of their life? Maybe?
I think I will use vegan for probably that example. I think it's possible for somebody to go completely vegan and stay vegan.
Because it's sustainable.
Yeah, you can eat
as long
protein.
As they're getting...
You can get your proteins from other sources. You know, if you don't really like beef or you really don't like eating chicken, you probably can stick to that diet because you're still eating fats, you're still eating carbs, you're still eating proteins. You're just eating it from a different source. The low carb, high fat diet, I've seen it work for very overweight people.
I've also heard of studies like some things in their body reversing certain things too.
Like metabolisms and all that, or
There was a child who had some sort of a
Disorder?
disorder, and it did reverse the effects.
I think to a certain extent, I think things can be exacerbated by our diets. And I think in some certain cases, I think something could work to that extent. Most cases, I would say, even if they do lose the weight on the diet or they are able to stick to it long enough to lose the weight, it's not sustainable forever. And so that's my problem with most diets or meal plans. I guess what I've kind of tried talking to all my family, my friends, my clients, I've learned, and I've taken the time to learn and educate myself on truly what your body needs. Everybody's body is individual. What you need is going to be way different than what I need on a daily basis. But what your body needs and a different mentality when it comes to trying to lose weight or gain weight or gain muscle or whatever this goal situation is. I don't look at foods as good foods or bad foods anymore. Food is just food. And if I want a Pop-Tart, I'm going to fit it into my diet because when I eat a Pop-Tart, I know what's in it. I know that there's 35 grams of carbs in it. I know that there's 5 grams of fat in it.
Do the chemicals at all
Okay,
bother
yes.
you?
Well, we had touched on it for a hot minute, but like Paleo Diet, like I said, is probably 100% the best, healthiest thing you could do. Eating only the non-processed things is honestly probably the best thing you can do.
But at the same time, is anything not processed anymore?
Yeah.
Are there chemicals at this point in
Yeah,
our
in
society?
foods.
Our world? Yeah.
I look at it as, and maybe because I'm a mom, but am I never going to give my child goldfish because they're processed? Am I never going to give my child McDonald's French fries?
I think that like your approach is like so realistic
Yep.
and so relatable to a lot of people, and it's just so.
Yeah, and that's why I went in that direction. Because I believe that, and now that I've seen that you can progress forward and still maintain a realistic, sustainable way of life, eating, things like that. And you don't have to go so extreme. You don't have to go completely vegan, completely paleo, completely keto, completely whatever all of the other ones are, meal replacement shakes and all of that. Starts with an A and it will come to me. Arbana? I don't know. Anyways, instead of going 100% those directions, which I don't really believe very many of them are sustainable for most of society. I'll put it that way. For most of society, I don't think those are sustainable. When you go and you learn what your body needs on a daily basis as far as macro and micronutrients. So macros are proteins, carbs, and fats. And then micronutrients, fibers, saturated fats, sugars, just the micro ones, the ones that are a little bit less important than the macronutrients. Once you learn what your body needs and how much it needs of those macronutrients, and you're able to learn kind of not even a new way of eating, but just portion sizes. Or when you go out to eat, you have a conscious thought of, okay, I need to have a good amount of protein, I need to have my simple carb, I need to have some vegetables and things like that. So when you're eating and they slap a huge thing of potatoes and then this much butter on top of your potatoes, and then, fried this and fried that, when you go down to sit down at your meal, you can say, I want steak, I want mashed potatoes and a little bit of gravy, and you can you can still eat those things. You're just learning how much of those things that you need to eat. Because honestly, if you can't go out to a date night with Ben to go out to eat, I mean, you're going to be like, well, screw this diet. Like, I'm going out to dinner with my husband. Like, I need to do that. If people feel like they're so restricted to a diet, which is oatmeal, eggs, chicken, and rice, after a while that gets old. After a while, dinner comes up with Ben, or you have a birthday party, or whatever. They feel like they fail, or they feel like they can't be successful because they can't stick to it.
Or they maybe have to just not go anywhere because they feel
got to stay home in order to stay on track, and that's not fair. It's not a sustainable way to live.
Yeah.
It's just not practical. It's not sustainable. It's so extreme that that's what causes most people to fail, because they believe that they can't be that extreme. Then they're going to go backwards. And that's why flexible dieting or flexible eating, you get to eat. Yes, I get most of my protein from my meats. I get most of my fats from nuts and oils, or things like that. Yes, I get most of my carbs from vegetables or rice or sweet potatoes, things like that. But then there is room for me to say, you know what? I really want an ice cream bar. I really want this. I really want that. And I can learn how to fit those things in so that I can still progress forward, but I still get to enjoy life, or I still can go out and have a beer or a cocktail with my boyfriend or my friends and not go backwards.
Yeah. I just also wanted to add that there are a lot of proteins in vegetables too, which really,
especially
really
beans,
sends people for a whirl.
Yeah.
Because when you say you're going vegetarian, you're going vegan, it's like, well, where do you get this? I'm like, there's a lot of proteins.
Beans and legumes and all of that.
So
and that's the thing is you know, because you looked at the legumes, you looked at those things, and you looked at the labels and stuff like that, so you know what's in them. Most people are just eating because that tastes good. I like pizza, so I'm gonna eat pizza. They have no idea that they're probably getting zero protein unless it's got meat on top of the pizza. And they're getting basically carbs and a lot of fat. But they have no idea. They're eating because it sounds good. And once you kind of take that importance off of, and I know most of this kind of ruffles feathers too, but once you take that importance off of food, that you don't always have to have, is it satiated? You don't have to... Your mind doesn't always have to be satisfied. It's satisfying your body. It's fueling your body. It's not always just to satisfy your mind and what's going to taste good. It's what my body needs. I need protein. I need carbs. I need fats. I know a lot of people demonize carbs. And that's the craziest thing to me, because, I mean, basically if I couldn't have carbs, I think I'd die. And somebody told me I couldn't have them. Like, we probably couldn't be friends, because I'm eating them, whether you like it or not, to be real honest. But I just think it's so important, and I think it's the way people are able to stick to something is if it's realistic, if it's sustainable.
So is there some tips or advice that you can give for people so they don't take that extreme? Where if maybe they're feeling inspired, they're feeling motivated, that they're not going to, I'm trying to find my words too, like that they're not going to just go all in and then fall back.
Yep. The advice I give is, and I tell anybody that I talk to this when they tell me they want to make a change, I tell them, keep eating and drinking the way you're doing for a week, and track it, whether that means in the app, the MyFitnessPal app, or writing it down physically on a piece of paper for a week. Obviously,
so they don't have to think about what they're eating. They don't
just eat.
We're not doing the
just
eat clean thing yet.
Eat. But become aware of what you're eating. 90% of the time, most people are under eating for most of their days, and then they binge on the weekends because the weekends is when we're home, Netflix and chill, go out with our friends, things like that. So they're overdoing on the
Do you have a
weekends.
cheat meal?
Yep,
Okay.
at
sorry.
least once a week right now.
So they overdo it on the weekend.
Yep.
Okay.
Just track, whether it's in an app or on a piece of paper. Honestly, when people don't realize the bite here, the bite there, the sip here, the sip there, the coffee here, the tea there, the energy drink here, the Snickers bar here, the Pop-Tart out of the vending machine
But
here.
you can also overeat on
Yep.
healthy food too.
Yep, 100% you can.
Yeah.
You can overeat on, there's such thing as too much of a good thing. Track what you're eating to become aware. And then after that, whether you research it yourself to find out about macronutrients, micronutrients, kind of what your body needs on a daily basis to be successful and reach the goals you want. Whether that's maintain, I just want to be healthy. Whether that's lose weight, obviously to lose weight, which is most people's goal is to lose weight, you need to be in a caloric surplus. You need to do some research on what your body needs to be in a caloric surplus. Not in a super extreme one, but in a realistic one. Or caloric, did I say surplus? I meant deficit. Whatever. To lose, you need to be in a deficit. Surplus, obviously gain. Anyways, do the research, find out your caloric needs for your goals, and then make it match. If you really like oatmeal for breakfast, don't cut it out because some diet tells you to cut oatmeal out. Eat your oatmeal, but also know how much you're eating, okay? Let's probably not eat 3 cups of oatmeal, which I don't know if anybody physically could eat 3 cups of oatmeal. Your stomach would be so full, it wouldn't be funny. But it's kind of just like learning, I still want to have pizza on Wednesdays with work. They bring pizza on Wednesdays to lunch. I'm going to eat pizza on Wednesday for lunch. But I'm going to make sure the rest of my day I'm still getting my proteins, probably not eating a bunch of nuts and all that because you are getting your fats from your pizza. Because once you start tracking and you see how much of stuff is in the food you're eating, you're like, oh, well, maybe I'm only going to have that pizza for lunch and not the next 3 days for lunch heated up in the microwave, You're going to be aware of it because you're like, oh, well, that's a lot of my fats and I really like my peanut butter on my toast at home with breakfast or things like that. And you don't have to be super perfect down to the gram if you're not in a program or you don't have like a specific end date. I need to lose 10 pounds by this date. You don't have to be super specific to the gram, but getting in a range of 10 grams over, 10 grams under of kind of where your body needs is it's a good place to begin. And so when I tell them track your food, kind of start to fit your foods in, start to eat the things you want to eat and figure out portion sizes because most people, I know I did. Even just last year, my coach was like, are you measuring your peanut butter? And I'm like, yeah, teaspoon. I can eat that. But
Coach, because you're going to be in a competition.
Yep. I actually had a coach just for lifestyle. I wanted to learn about macros. And I wanted to learn about what my body needed and how to adjust those macros. I got a coach just for lifestyle. I wanted to lose weight. I wanted to
do it right.
Do it right. I also wanted to feel like I looked like I go to the gym. And I say that now because I said that last year. I hit the gym 7 days a week for the last, I don't know how long. And last December, most people will tell me that they thought I looked good or that I looked like I went to the gym, but I didn't feel like I looked like I went to the gym. I didn't see my muscles. I wasn't vascular. I still carried my weight in my areas that I don't like about myself or whatever. So when I hired a coach, I hired one because I basically wanted to learn sustainable, real way of eating so that I could finally break through the plateau and start to see results. It's not fun when you're eating intuitively and healthy and you're not seeing change and you're constantly saying the same. After a while, it gets really old.
Unless your point is that you
just to be healthy.
Want to
100%.
Yeah.
100%. But if you have a goal in mind and you're not achieving it or you're not feeling like you're achieving it, a lot of times that's when people get discouraged and they kind of fall off and they're like, well, I ain't seen any results anyways. screw this, I'm going to have binging weekend, whatever. So I hired a coach basically because I wanted to learn about macronutrients, micronutrients. I wanted to learn about adjusting them. I wanted to learn that kind of stuff because I then took the step of I wanted to coach people. I wanted to help people learn about macronutrients, micronutrients, all that stuff, flexible dieting, things like that, because I see and hear that's what I see and hear so many people talk about is I can't fit into my jeans anymore. Like, it looks like I gotta buy new jeans. I'm not wearing a swimsuit with my kids this summer. I'm not going to the pool. I hear so many people talk about how much they don't like themselves. I found not just success in physically, but mentally and emotionally and all of that through fitness and health. I wanted to share that, but I also wanted to be able to share the nutrition part as well. Like I said, I'm going to get certified nutritionally. I don't make meal plans for people. I don't really believe in meal plans because if somebody gave me one, especially if it had something on there I didn't like, I'd be like, not eating that. But so I don't know if I'll ever.
That makes you real.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm not going to eat that. I'm not eating fish tacos. Gross. I guess I'm eating pizza because I'm not eating that. I'm just kidding. So I don't know if I'll ever write meal plans for people, but maybe to give them more specific, right now I just give them big long lists of proteins, fats, carbohydrates, all that stuff, and then the macronutrient, micronutrient content of the foods, and then allow them to pick the things that they want to fit into their day, their weeks, so that they can make a meal plan that's good for them, that works for them, that's sustainable for them, that still feels good, and still see results. So that's basically what I tell people is track your food, become aware, find out how much of the things that you're eating that you need to eat to fill your macro and micronutrient needs, and then begin adjusting them based on the way your body reacts, the way your body changes or doesn't change. So that's kind of my first piece of advice when I give people. And if they still are super confused on it, or if they're still not seeing results, or if they are frustrated or whatever, I tell them to ask somebody, talk to somebody. There's lots of people who do know about. There's nutritionists in town. I know there's personal trainers in town who help with this stuff. Coaches, online coaches. Online coaching is a huge thing that's blooming right now. People that will help you with those things if you do want extra help or support or accountability, things like that, to reach out and just ask questions, maybe invest in hire somebody to help you get the knowledge that you need to be able to make a change or keep the change. Because it's not always about hiring somebody for the rest of your life. It's about hiring somebody to learn it, and then it's something that you can keep doing. And that's what I tell all my clients when I talk to them on the phone. We do a client call, and they're like, well, I'm not doing a diet. And I'm like, good, because neither am I. But I want to teach you so that when you stop coaching or when you stop working with me, you can keep going.
You almost want them to.
Yep, 100% I do. Because I want them to be successful physically and with their goals, mentally, all of that. Because if they crash and I give them a crazy meal plan, they're going to crash. And then they're going to be like, well, that girl sucks and I'm going back to eating the way I ate, And then they're going to go back mentally as well. And I don't want that for people. And I mean, I guess identify with women, moms, things like that, because I know mentally and emotionally how hard it is when we compare ourselves to people and when we don't physically see what we want to see or feel the way we want to feel. I know how much we can tear ourselves down mentally and all of that.
It's so hard these days too because you're always seeing the way your body is supposed to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're under pressure to be this or that.
For people who maybe they're not wanting to go hardcore.
Yep.
Are there just some little things that they could tweak in their lifestyle that would make a huge difference? Water, for example.
Oh, water. 100% water helps. Most people don't drink nearly enough water. Most people are way under. So increasing your water is...
Why? Everybody talks about water, but why? I mean, I know our whole body's made
of water, basically.
But aside from that...
Digestion. I mean, your energy levels, cleansing your body, getting the toxins out. I mean, you were just talking about like chemicals and sodium and all of that stuff that's in processed foods. A lot of people another thing they're afraid of is sodium. Well, how do we get rid of it? We need to pee it out. So you need to drink a bunch of water.
But you also need sodium too.
Oh, 100% you do. Sodium and calcium are really good, really good necessary things for you. If you cut it out completely, it's bad, just as any other macro micronutrient.
And that's another thing too, like, don't limit yourself so much because there are certain things that your body needs to function.
Yep.
Like, even down to just like the little, like, in order, you need certain amount of things in your red blood cells, and then you need oxygen so that your blood cells and
sodium and calcium bring it in and out of your blood cells.
Yes. So sometimes I don't know if people think about it on the molecular level of nutrients.
Most people, and I won't say all people, but most people undereat in protein. They don't realize it, but they're way underdoing protein. Now, I don't mean go out and drink a bunch of protein shakes or whatnot to get your protein in, but up your protein when you're eating meals, whether that's your eggs.
And why is that? Because you've mentioned that a ton just now.
Protein is, okay, so muscle, even if you're not into bodybuilding and you don't want to do anything like that, muscle is very important. It protects you. Like, it protects you. It helps your bones. It protects you from injury. It keeps you stable. It keeps your body going as you grow, as you get older. As we get older, we kind of tend to lose muscle if we don't try to build it, and especially if we are under eating in it, your muscles need protein in order to grow. So protein it's super important, and it's usually one of the most undereaten things in someone's diet. They don't even realize it. They're like, well, I eat 6 ounces, or they usually don't say 6 ounces. I eat a chicken breast with lunch, or I eat a steak at dinner time. But they don't realize that a steak only has 40, depending on how big your steak is. But it doesn't have, one steak is not nothing compared to what you need for a whole day.
You can't eat one steak a day. No. You are protein filled.
No, you need
maybe if you threw some vegetables in there.
Some legumes. But so adding protein into your diet, most people need more of that. And watching the fats. And I say that only because not all, but most people are way overdoing fats. And they have no clue that they're way overdoing fats. Just because they don't have a clue on the content in their food. They're like, well, I'm not eating that much fat. You know? And I'm like, wait a minute.
Because it's not just in butter.
No, it's in everything. I mean, okay, it's not in your lean meats and some of your simple carbs, like a rice or whatever, are kind of low in those. But when people say, well, I eat carbs, I eat my baked potato with a big old scoop of butter on it, and then they saute their vegetables and butter and seasonings, and then they grill their food or saute their protein, whatever their protein source is for that meal, in butter or oil as well. They don't realize that all of those things add up, meal after meal after meal. And for a man compared to a woman, obviously they're going to need more fats on a daily basis than a woman, generally speaking. They can handle the tablespoon of butter, cooking with their vegetables, all of that stuff. But with a woman, and most women, we don't need that amount of fat on a daily basis. My macros are, 140 some grams of protein, almost 300 grams of carbs right now, and 50 grams of fat. So when I'm eating, and I'm eating to 300 grams of carbs, and I'm eating 150 grams of protein, to keep those fats down, I have to be mindful of these sources too, because these sources do at some point have fat in them too. So I can't just eat 10 tablespoons of peanut butter or things like that, as much as I would love to eat the whole tub of peanut butter. But I can't, because if I do overeat, fat is the most dense nutrient macronutrient, it's 9 calories per gram versus proteins or carbs, it's only about 4 calories per gram. So when you're overeating in fat and you're going over your grams, it's double bad because it's more dense. That nutrient is more dense. So if you're overeating it by 10 grams, that's 90 calories versus 10 grams on a protein or a carb, which is only 40 calories. So it can add up real quick.
So for somebody who's maybe not focusing that much into it, it's really just boils down to balance.
Yep, complete balance. And just
balance.
being aware. Just being aware. When you go and you decide this is what you're having for breakfast, just make yourself aware of what's in it. So you know that it's mostly carbs, a little bit of protein, a little bit of fat. You don't necessarily have to get down to the gram if you're going to just be, if you're starting out basic, but just know that there's carbs, protein, and a little bit of fat. Or when you do go all out and you do eat a lot of fat at breakfast because you really wanted those biscuits and gravy or whatever it was, sausages. I love sausage. I mean, I'm born and raised here, and pork sausage is one of my favorite things ever. But it is so bad. I mean, that's all my fats gone as soon as I eat that sausage. Whoop, there they went. No peanut butter for me. But if you really want that meal, and you know that it's high in fat or higher in fat, then throughout the rest of your day, you're just not going to eat very much fats. You know, you can balance it. Just know what's in your meals.
This is probably a silly question, but does it roll over? So if maybe, for example, you ate a lot of fat this day.
Yep.
Are you would you deplete your fat from the next day, or would you just be like, you know what?
I would give yourself grace.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you are just in a lifestyle trying to be healthy diet, I would definitely give yourself grace. Now, if you're in a bodybuilding and you tell your coach that you ate this and you ate the whole tub of peanut butter, they're going to be like, well, someone's getting no fat for the next few days. But that's because you're on a different...
Yeah, right.
You have different goals, different timelines, deadlines, things like that. But I would say if you're just wanting to be healthy, things like that, definitely just give yourself grace and start over the next day. But that's another one, is just being aware. Being aware of your food versus, I just want this because it tastes so good. Just be aware. Make yourself aware of what's in it so that you know that you're eating carbs, proteins, and a little bit of fats or whatever so that you can balance. It's all about balance and making sure you're getting some of all of your micronutrients. Fiber is another one that is... I know we haven't touched on that one, but it is way under. Most people don't even think about that one when they're dieting or when they want to lose weight. I know so many people who have digestion issues and who have always had digestion issues. Most people say, I have always been that way. And when they track their food for a week and they come back and they're talking to me about it, I'm like, well, it's because you don't get no fiber. None. And they're like, well, I eat fiber bars, you know, those Fiber One bars and all of that. People also don't realize that there's 2 different kinds of fiber, soluble and insoluble, and you need both. Yeah. So learning where fibers come from.
So that all connects to kind of what you're trying to say. Like, those fiber bars aren't sustainable. Yes, they have fiber in them, but there are also other things that have fiber.
Yes.
That are more sustainable. And yeah, I guess it's easy. You could just go buy these fiber bars all the time and...
But most of them are insoluble fiber. And you need soluble fiber as well. You need a mix of soluble and insoluble. And
we all need to have a notebook.
A notebook?
We need to look up soluble fibers and
No, basically when you eat a food, like a food with fiber in it, it's food that you can... It's fiber that your body can use in a different way. I'll say it like that versus getting so sciencey. It's different than the fiber they put into a Fiber One bar, which I'm not saying the Fiber One bar fiber is not good. It's at least you're getting a little bit of fiber, but you also should be thinking about fruits that have fiber or vegetables that have fiber, things like that as well. Yeah. But just making yourself aware of what you're eating, making yourself aware of your intake. And I'll just use my dad for example. He's diabetic, and we've had to really kind of step down on his nutrition, basically because he's at a place in his life now that he needs to. And that
possibly could have been prevented
if he would have eaten differently. But BreeAnn, I eat protein, and I get this, and I get that, and I'm calculating out some of his days, and I'm like, wait a minute, Dad, wait a minute. And he's like, it's like an aha moment. Mm-hmm. Like, he thinks that he was overeating in carbs, but most days he's undereating in them. Mm-hmm. He's just thinking that he munches and he was overeating in them. And diabetics do it. They do demonize carbs when it comes to diabetics, and because it spikes sugars and things like that. So he's very cautious when it comes to carbs already, just because doctors, if you eat carbs, that's gonna raise your blood sugar, that's gonna spike it up. So when he started kind of telling me his day, and I would like run it through and I'd write it down, I'd kind of calculate it out, I'm like, well, no wonder why your sugars are so high and so low and so high and so low, because most of the time you're undereating, and then you eat a huge meal. And so just making yourself aware, because you don't have to be 100% perfect down to the gram to make a change. You just have to be aware versus just intuitively, mindlessly eating.
Definitely. Man, thank you so much.
I'm just pretty passionate about it, and I think everybody really should think about, in some way, like I said, maybe not to the same extent as I choose to, I think that they should think about how they fuel their body, how they take care of their body, because I really do think that we should be thankful and grateful for our body to be able to continue to do this crazy thing called life.
Wow, what a perfect way to end the show, yeah? That's awesome. Good job.
Nailed it.
After such an amazing talk with BreeAnn, I want to just end with a quote, because I think it will just hit people hard and maybe a little too hard. But it's not the function of food to fill spiritual vacuums. So let that settle, let that resonate. I hope you guys enjoyed this talk as much as I did. Comment below, follow us if you like, and let us know if there's more that you'd like to hear. Thank you. Good. I looked again. Darn it.
Looked again.
So what's the big one?